suara Pak Anu, apakah bisa mendengar suara kami dengan jelas? Selamat pagi, mohon izin tes suara Polsek Bang Jayapura, BPSD Perhubungan. Selamat pagi. Selamat pagi. Mohon izin tes suara. Selamat pagi, mohon izin tes suara Poltek Bang Jayapura. Apakah dapat mendengar suara kami dengan jelas?
Jelas sekali, Mas Santi. Jelas.
Oke, terima kasih Pak.
Loud and clear di sini. Kami tunggu. Ya, jelas sekali, Mas.
Baik, siap.
Ya. Udah kan? Udah. Udah oke. Dengar kan tadi suaranya? Dengar kan? Bagus.
Tes. Izin Pak Andung. Mohon izin tes suara Pak.
Bagus Pak, clear
Bagus.
suara.
Siap. Saya
Terdengar jelas?
Ya udah. Makasih Pak.
Ya, terdengar Mas. Bagus.
Tes. Coba mem. Kunci kalau kan.
Ya, selamat pagi Pak Kapus.
Selamat pagi Pak Andung.
Salam sehat Pak.
Ya, sehat-sehat. Bagaimana kabarnya Bapak-bapak?
Alhamdulillah baik Pak.
Alhamdulillah baik Pak Kapus.
Ini saja dulu.
Bapak, Ibu hadirin sekalian, selamat datang dan selamat bergabung dalam webinar internasional hari ini. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to this webinar. Sebelum kita mulai acara pada hari ini, izinkan saya membacakan tata tertib webinar dan pemberian sertifikat elektronik. Before we begin our webinar today, I will inform you some rules and a certificate information as follows. Webinar rules. First, please ensure a visual and an audio connection that is used to access the room. The Zoom meeting is well connected. The second, participants on Zoom's access must be polite during the webinar. The third, all participants are requested to activate visual video during the webinar. Fourth, webinar participants are expected to join by using the real name. Device name and institution name are not allowed. Fifth, for our convenience, participants on Zoom's access are not allowed to open YouTube links in the same time. Sixth, participants are expected not to log out during the webinar. Seven, participants are expected to turn off the microphone or mute during the webinar. 8. Participants are facilitated Q&A on Zoom via chat room, which is sending to everyone, or leave comment on our YouTube channel at the question and answer session. 9. All participants are expected to join the webinar until ends. Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, saya akan bacakan tata tertib webinar hari ini. Yang pertama, mohon dipastikan koneksi visual dan audio pada perangkat yang digunakan dalam mengakses Zoom meeting terkoneksi dengan baik. Yang kedua, peserta yang mendapatkan akses ke Zoom harus berpakaian sopan dan berperilaku sopan saat webinar dilaksanakan. Yang ketiga, semua peserta dimohon mengaktifkan video pada acara pembukaan dan penutupan. Yang keempat, peserta webinar diharapkan join dengan menggunakan nama asli, bukan nama perangkat atau institusi. Yang kelima, peserta yang sudah menggunakan aplikasi Zoom, mohon tidak membuka link YouTube secara bersamaan untuk kenyamanan bersama. Yang keenam, peserta diharapkan untuk tidak keluar masuk room meeting. Yang ketujuh, peserta diharapkan mematikan suara atau mute mikrofon selama proses webinar berlangsung. Yang kedelapan, pada sesi tanya jawab, pertanyaan peserta difasilitasi melalui Q&A pada aplikasi Zoom dan kolom komentar pada YouTube. Yang kesembilan, semua peserta diharapkan dapat mengikuti kegiatan webinar hingga selesai dan tertib. Okay, the next about e-certificate. The first, completing an evaluation by answering a questionnaire given at the end of webinar. Second, a certificate will be given to participants who fulfill the requirements at least 1 week later. Third, e-certificates link will be shared on Zoom's chat room and our YouTube channel at the end of webinar. Bapak Ibu, perlu kami informasikan untuk sertifikatnya pada peserta yang telah memenuhi ketentuan. Yang ketiga, e-sertifikat dan materi akan diberikan di akhir kegiatan pada chat room, aplikasi Zoom, atau YouTube. Demikian tadi webinar rules dan pemberian sertifikat. Baik, Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih. Langsung masuk, Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samsuryani. It is wonderful and precious chance for me to be your master of ceremony in this event, international webinar entitled Initiating ICT, Information and Communication Technology, Best Collaboration and Partnership in the New Normal Adaptation Era. First of all, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His guidance, happiness, healthy, and mercy, we can attend and participate in this event. In this beautiful moment, I would like to say welcome to the Honorable Mr. Insinyur Sugiharjo, MSI, as a head of Human Resources Development Agency on Transportation. Mohon izin selamat datang dan selamat bergabung kepada Bapak Sugiharjo dalam acara webinar hari ini. Selamat datang, Pak. Kemudian, welcome to the Honorable Mr. Insinyur Heri Sudarmaji Deakia as a head of Human Resources Development Center on Civil Aviation. Selamat datang dan selamat bergabung kami ucapkan juga kepada Bapak Heri Sudarmaji. Welcome to the Honorable Mr. Professor Mario Koppen from Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan. Thank you for Mr. Koppen for your participation and contributing in this international webinar. Welcome to the Honorable Mr. Dr. Engineering Armin Lawi SSI M Engineering from Hasanuddin University, Makassar. Selamat bergabung Bapak dan terima kasih atas kesediaannya bergabung dan berpartisipasi dalam webinar ini. Welcome to the Honorable Mr. Beni Suherman SSIT MSI as a Director of Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic. Welcome to Mr. Syahri Rashid SS MSI as a Chairman of this committee. And also the Honorable Mr. Andung Rihono, SSIT MSI, as the moderator. Welcome to the Honorable all participants in this webinar who joined by Zoom application or in our YouTube channel. Selamat datang juga kepada seluruh hadirin yang telah bergabung baik melalui aplikasi Zoom maupun channel YouTube. Perlu kami informasikan bahwa peserta webinar yang telah terdaftar hingga hari ini berjumlah 1.288 orang kurang lebih. Terima kasih atas partisipasinya Bapak Ibu. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this event, Let us say Basmalah in accordance with trust respectively. My God, make this rewarding event for all of us, and the event will run smoothly and conducive. Bapak, Ibu hadirin sekalian, sebelum kita mulai acara ini, marilah bersama-sama kita mengucapkan basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Tunggu sebentar Pak Sugiharjo masuk baru nyanyikan Indonesia.
Ya Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, sebelum kita mulai acara, kita menunggu kehadiran dari Bapak Insinyur Sugiharjo MSc selaku Kepala Badan Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Perhubungan untuk bergabung dalam webinar kita pada hari ini. The Honorable all panelists and moderator, before we begin the webinar, let's take a screen picture first. Mohon izin kepada para panelis dan moderator, sebelum kita mulai acara, terlebih dahulu kita mengambil gambar melalui screenshot. Baik, Bapak Ibu. Please. Saya hitung Bapak Ibu sekalian. 1, 2, 3. Okay, please once again, before we continue our webinar today, let's take a picture, screen picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Well, on this special day, we have several agenda. So allow me to read several sequence of our agenda today. The first is the opening. The second is singing Indonesia Raya. The third is welcome speech by a head of Human Resources Development Agency on transportation, as well as officially opening this webinar. The fourth is presentation from all of our speakers today. Next is question and answer session, and the last is closing. The first agenda has done. Now let's move to the second is singing Indonesia Raya. All participants, please stand up. Acara selanjutnya menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya. Hadirin dimohon berdiri. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we go to the third agenda is welcome speech by a head of human resources on development agency on transportation. Baik, Bapak Ibu, kita melangkah ke acara selanjutnya, sambutan Kepala BPSDM Perhubungan. Pada Bapak Sugiharjo, kami silahkan dengan hormat.
Distinguished Professor Mario Koppen from Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan, Dr. Engineering Armin Lawi, SSE Master of Engineering from Hasanuddin University, Makassar, Head of Human Resources Development Center on Civil Aviation, Pak Heri, Director of Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic, Official of Human Resources Development Agency on Transportation, guest participant, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning.
Salam.
First of all, let us praise God Almighty for His blessing that we could gather here in this beautiful morning to attend this webinar on International Communication and Technology with very interesting topic titled Initiating ICT-based collaboration and partnership in the new normal adaptation era. In this opportunity, I would like to convey my sincere appreciation and gratitude to the organizing committee, Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic, in collaboration with Hasanuddin University and also QC Institute of Technology, Japan, for making this event happen. Ladies and gentlemen, whether we like or not, there will be a new normal caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And a lot of things already changed as regards the way we work and carry out our activities across the world. Although we would gradually move back to what we used to be, there are certain other things that will change the way we work, think, and operate. Things like working or studying from home, as known as long-distance learning, which has been popularized during the lockdown, will become even more acceptable. One of the important things that enable us to cope with the lockdown issues is by using information and communication technology. As you all aware, that ICT is a broad and fast-changing subject. Before the pandemic, maybe some of us only use traditional computer-based technology as a standalone workstation. Nowadays, along with the development of technology, we can communicate data by electronics means over some distance via network of sending and receiving equipment, wires or satellite links. This virus pandemic may fast forward ICT adoption in our lives. In March 2020, everything that could be moved online already happened. From elementary school to college classes, from entire company workforces to business meetings. Whole cities are emptied under coronavirus threat as business tell employees to work from home. Students are sent indoors to learn online, and every type of entertainment from restaurant and sporting venues to movie theater shutters, forcing people to stay home and rely on their home broadband network to interact with the outside world. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the Human Resources Development Agency on Transportation strategy is to enhance the value of our graduates in transportation industry is through enhancement their quality and competencies. Fulfillment of the national and international standards, also one of the most important things that to be focused on. Cooperation and collaboration with our international partner could be the excellent option. Overcoming the pandemic, collaboration and cooperation are even more crucial. This initiative from Polytechnic of Aviation, I repeat, this initiative from Polytechnic of Aviation Jayapura to collaborate and cooperate among three parties with Hasanuddin University and Kyushu Institute of Technology Japan by utilizing ICT is very good start, and I strongly encourage this activity. I hope this could be continued in the next step. I believe this seminar will stimulate and encourage you to actively exploring the cooperation opportunities in human resources development and research, which is in line with Indonesia's mission as stated by President Joko Widodo that development of human resources is one top is on top of the national priority. Once again, I thank you Hasanuddin University and Kyushu Institute of Technology Japan for making this event happen. I hope through this activity could strengthen cooperation and collaboration between us in the next future. By saying, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare that the international webinar titled Initiating ICT-based Collaboration and Partnership in the New Era Adaptation Era is officially open. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I thank you.
Thank you for the remarks given by a head of Human Resources Development Agency on Transportation, Mr. Insinyur Sugiharjo MSI. Terima kasih atas sambutan dari Kepala BPSDM Perhubungan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us toward the core event today, international webinar entitled Initiating ICT, Information and Communication Technology, Based Collaboration and Partnership in the New Normal Adaptation Era. Mr. Andung Luihono will moderate the next agenda. For Mr. Andung Luihono, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nani. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, good morning, salam sehat, and free from COVID-19. Honorable Mr. Insinyur Sugiharjo MSI, as a head of Agency of Human Resource Development on Transportation. Honorable Mr. Insinyur Heri Sudarmaji, head of a Human Resource Development Center on Civil Aviation. Honorable Mr. Benny Suherman, as the Director of Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic. Honorable of Mr. Sahri Rashid, Head of Academic or Cadet Administration Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic. And honorable guest, Mr. Professor Mario Koppen from Kyushu Institute of Technology Japan. And honorable guest, Mr. Dr. Engineering Armin Lawi, SSI Engineering from Hasanuddin University. And our webinar participants present both in the Zoom room and those watching live via our YouTube live streaming. Introducing, my name is Andung Luihono. As a moderator today for this webinar. Selamat pagi buat bapak-bapak, ibu-ibu, para partisipan yang tergabung di dalam webinar pada pagi hari ini yang akan membahas tentang initiating ICT-based collaboration and partnership in the new normal adaptation era, written by Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic, Hasanuddin University Makassar, and Kyushu Institute of Technology Japan. Seperti diketahui bahwa akan banyak sekali bahan diskusi yang akan disampaikan di dalam webinar pada pagi hari ini. Banyak hal yang akan dibahas oleh para presenter dan panelis yang akan ditampilkan pada kegiatan webinar pada pagi hari ini. Ada 3 orang panelis. We have invited 3 panelists who will discuss today, and let me introduce one by one. The first is Mr. Insinyur Heri Sudarmaji as a head of Human Resource Development Center on Civil Aviation. Selamat datang Pak Heri. Terima kasih sudah bergabung di dalam webinar kami. And the second is Mr. Mario Koppen from the Graduate School of Creative Informatics, Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan. Good morning, Mr. Mario. I hope you're fine today. Welcome to this webinar. Thank you for being willing to join this event, webinar Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic. And the third is Mr. Dr. Engineering, Armin Lawi, SSI Master Engineering from Department of Computer Science, Hasanuddin University. Selamat datang Pak Armin, terima kasih sudah bergabung dalam webinar di Politeknik Penerbangan Jayapura pada pagi hari ini. And for the shortened time, for the effective time, so we invite the first panelist today, webinar, Mr. Heri Sudarmaji as head of Human Resource Development Center on Civil Aviation. But before he delivered the material, I want to share curriculum CV from Mr. Heri Sudarmaji. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, the mistake the schedule for this webinar. Oh. Oke. Oh, maaf ada perubahan sedikit dari tema kita untuk panelis pertama yang akan muncul pada hari ini atau akan tampil pada hari ini. The first panelist is Mr. Professor Mario Kupen from Kyushu Technology, Japan. And before his present the material for webinar, I would like to share the curriculum vitae from Mr. Mario Kupen. Professor Mario Kupen, he was born at June 5th, 1964 at Berlin, Germany, and he was graduate from Humboldt University, Berlin, in physics, and diploma in physics, Humboldt University, Berlin, Sudah, Pak. Sudah.
Suaranya udah muncul.
Mr. Mario Kupan? Mr. Mario?
Yes. Hello?
Prof. Mario?
I didn't have sound and
Are you hear me?
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Kedengaran nih Pak, didengar Pak, didengar.
Kedengaran Pak Andung, lanjut.
Lanjut. You can listen you, Mr. Andung. Unmute Pak, unmute. Pak Andung, unmute.
Siap, Pak. Siap, Pak Armin. Okay, Prof. Mario Kupan, the time is yours for the presenting of the webinar today.
Okay. So you can hear me.
Prof. Mario?
Sound is fine? Can you hear me?
Yeah, this good. This is good, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. And sorry for this small schedule. So I understand that we have a start of a small keynote at the beginning. Yeah, so that's correct, yeah. And let's start. Okay. Okay. Slide is okay?
Oke, Prof.
Yeah. So please let me know if there's any problem. I cannot see. Yeah, a few days before, Lavi asked me to join this seminar. So I'm not fully familiar with goals and scope. But I found I selected a topic about a human as a, what do I say, part of the scientific research. At the moment, as you say, we have these lockdown measures, COVID related, and of course, there might be the question: is there also some kind of science that is putting the human in the center? Because we mostly rely in research topics on more abstract things. So I selected topics human-centered computing, and but just an overview. So of course I will tell you what is the meaning of human-centered computing, and which paradigms we have behind it, but also what kind of research topics we can derive from it, and also what kind of applications we have. Just at the beginning, a few words about myself. You already saw basic things. So I'm with the Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. So you can see mouse is okay, yeah, mouse pointer. Yeah, it's located here in Japan. So this is all over Japan, the southwest island of Kyushu, and major city in Kyushu island is the Fukuoka, and the Kyushu Institute of Technology is hosted in the northwest part of Kyushu Island, 3 campus. I'm with the Iizuka campus, which is also called graduate school. Sorry, the faculty. Oh. Okay, the name is not here. Yeah, so this is where I'm hosted, and this is how it's looking like, an icon. So just, of course, I'm not born in Japan. I working in Japan. I was born in set in Germany, and I studied physics in Humboldt University, and also I made my diploma master degree, so to say. Then I was working for a long time in applied research in the Fraunhofer Institute, IPK in Berlin for 14 years. And then I got, in that period, I also made my PhD. So it's based on institutional research. I got a fellowship awarded actually in 2006 and came to Japan. And this continued into an ongoing activity, finally to become full professor at the Kyushu Institute of Technology. And so that's it. Just to mention my time in Germany, what I was doing there, I said applied research. So you might get an idea that you had a background of a security task automation, and these were developments in the 90s, mostly 90s and beginning of 2020s. There's a lot of links to, you see, image processing technology. For example, we had the car plate recognition, which means just take a picture of a car and recognize and identify this car plate here, but under kind of not so simple conditions, like this is a garbage truck. So we can assume this is not always a clean quality of the images. These tasks slowly evolved into some kind of security related task. As you can see, it is a surveillance of dangerous zones when operating a machine. Like this is a press where the people have to put tools by the hand below the press before operating the press. And of course, the human has a attitude to try to fix things right at the end because they are not so, to bypass the normal physical barriers in operation. And so it means some kind of image processing, monitoring of the hand position with regarding to the hand. We got also the other topic, like fake products in pharmacy. Fake drugs is, of course, is second largest sources of fake products after airplane components, unfortunately. Not just useless drugs. You remember, there are also some even kind of dangerous things inside to make it looking correctly. Yeah, and related topics. You also see the upcoming theme of food security. No? Recognize the tattoo on meat products. So that kind of task we're working on, which gave me some background. But when I came to Japan, I got a bit more into a different field, especially networking research, so which gave an interesting combination with a background of pattern recognition. And I also tell you soft computing research, and to apply it in the networking domain, especially related to problems of a resource sharing and networking infrastructure, which gives the topic of robustness of solutions, user fairness, and in relation to throughput. And also have to mention that I'm working as an editor-in-chief of a major journal in soft computing, which you might understand as a computational intelligence or artificial intelligence discipline. It's a methodology used in these fields. Name is Applied Soft Computing, which is published by Elsevier. And this is the last year impact factor. Actually, the current one is 5.4, I think. Okay, so and also let me see a lot of activities in organization of conferences, events, publishing, and so on. Okay, so I could give you a rough idea, but now back to the topic of a human-centered computing. So this is a term, maybe you have an intuitive idea what it could be or what it means, but let's look a bit more into the current practice around such a term. So we have the human-centered computing. So we're looking, for example, are there any conferences, journals or so with the topic? So we have a Springer journal, which is called Human-Centered Computing and Information Science, established recently, not so old. And if you look what's, for example, that journal, what they are publishing after all. So this is a lot of titles now. Maybe you don't need to read that. But just let's pick up some items here, some topics of these publications. And you can see there's a lot of interdisciplinary stuff from different fields. We have image processing, we have networking. So it's interesting because I introduced myself as being related to such disciplines, signal processing and the pattern recognition, but we also see the security domain and we see the physiology domain and some recent term sentiment analysis and so on. So this is a kind of mixture of different fields appearing, for example, in that journal. So next, maybe I will not detail that. It's what is the Wikipedia telling us about human-centered computing as a study of a design, development, and deployment of mixed initiative human-computer system. And maybe take a convergence of multiple disciplines, which are concerned both with understanding human beings and with the design of computational artifacts. So let's see that. And we see we have many disciplines: computer science, human factors, sociology, psychology, cognitive, but less compared to that one. It's a bit different picture. Okay, so far about this definition. And the Wikipedia also listing a lot of topics, maybe. Don't skip that. Another source, maybe just look into the Google image search on human-centered computing, which is mostly guiding you to some kind of institutional thing or publishing thing, less topic-oriented. Okay. So let me address another question. Sometimes we see it human-centered or say we human-centric, which is also interesting. For example, you can see in Google Ngram the use of these terms, human-centered computing, human-centric computing, as a generally appearing in the 90s, in general as a term, and you see the human-centric is coming much later behind, so it's more recent term. And as you see, there's a steady increase in the usage of that term in both ways. If you look a bit around, so we speak about human-centered computing is a more traditional term. For example, the Wikipedia term is using that. We find a research unit use it as a name, and also conferences. Human-centric computing more as a newer term. You see the appearance here. Most of you, so like the Springer Journal, the Pearson Journal, also company names, and which is also a bit resembling the network-centric term. So it's a bit more marketing-oriented term than traditional or academic science. Up to you. So when I had to decide how to name my lab, I decided for human-centered computing, but there's not a big point behind it. So let me see what is the principles behind this discipline. There's one thing, of course, there's we have to take into account that somehow has to be the human in the loop, which gives us the idea to think a bit more about what is human sense for computing and relation between things and so on. Here's a very simple example to show you what's a bit of the difference to plain data processing, data mining, or statistical analysis. If you think as the human has a specific way of computing, in that sense, a human way of computing, you can do that by yourself. It's a small experiment. If you're driving a car, you can get so-called OBD2 dongle, which is a small device plugging into the OBD2 port of your car, which is used at car diagnostics and to communicate with car electronic networks. And these modern devices, maybe something like $30 or so, they can connect via Bluetooth to your smartphone. So you can also register these data from your car. During driving, you can record yourself and make some plots of different selected characteristics of your driving. For example, this one shows here you have selected the vehicle speed in kilometer per hour, the engine power, and this is the axle position. That means you're pressing your foot on the axle, so there's an angle. So the yellow line is showing what is your axle activity during driving, and this is, for example, relation to the engine power, which is of course a quite direct relation. But if you look into the statistics between, here's the axle pedal position, and this is the vehicle speed, and this is a correlation diagram showing which factors mostly correlating. You see it's a low correlation between things. So compared to other, you see the more yellow means a higher correlation. This is quite average, nothing special, no? But of course, if you're driving a car, then the axle is the main instrument for controlling the speed of your car. If you consider yourself as the computer handling operating the car. So you see there's a bit of a difference. What is the objective relation between axle position and speed is much lower than your human impression of things. So there must be something different. And I will show you another example. How you're sensing relations between things. Looks quite normal to you, but in fact it's quite kind of a bit surprising fact. For example, you see two trees, no? And immediately there's impression that tree is taller, obviously, no? So you have the perception of taller, no? But you can see that you are not in some sense calculating taller. You just have the direct impression of a relation between things. This is an example, is a classical optical illusion where you think, of course, this car looks much bigger than this car. But if you look into the, let me see, next one, you see, just a bit filtering, you can see they're all exactly same size, which also, yeah, just say we are not what I say, calculating something obviously here, distance or something, when we have this evaluation of the scenery of a different size. So that car also looks taller than this one, and that tree looks taller. The problem here is that taller is a binary relation. For example, you can have attributes of objects, like a balloon is red, green, blue, small, large, but a balloon by itself cannot be taller, larger, smaller, more or less, because it needs always need to say in comparison to what. So this is a kind of direct perception of a relation between two things, as a normal perceive. So this is another thing that I feel a bit different. I just tell you, you can study these binary relation things a bit more. I will not deepen that here. But you see there are a lot of practical questions related to this handling of a relation between things. As you can see, for example, we have a randomness. Values appearing random or not. You have impression that something is more random than the other, which is important, for example, in computer simulation, that you make sure that we don't have biased data. But in other circumstances, human must have the sense that the data are really random enough. We also have the sense of, for example, walking, a natural style of walking when we're still struggling our robots to make them walking naturally compared to the catwalking of a human. And also the sense of fairness. So that means even abstract evaluation of sceneries. So you can see this is there's some topics where the human seems to process things differently than we do in a conventional computing. And this gives a lot of related tasks and questions. And I will introduce a few topics derived from this idea. And I will also mention, because we have a long cooperation with Professor Lavi, part of this work is also the work of students from Indonesia. Part of them also even Hasanuddin University or other parts of Sulawesi, working in my lab on such topics. So I will give just an overview, a random pick of different things. As I told you before, one main theme in this human-centered computing is the human assessment. That means some kind of evaluation of a situation which is hard to bring into numerical form. Yeah. So I just picked a popular pastime of Sudoku solving. So in case some of you might like it or not, or maybe it's old-fashioned or no, but here's an example. These Sudoku puzzles have a different, obviously different, differing difficulty. And of course, there's a kind of limit between something being too simple and not of interesting and something be too hard, which you might use a computer to solve in a fraction of a second. But of course, you're a human, you want to somehow enjoy. And it means you need some kind of level between too simple, too hard. And people would like you to give you like a rank. So this is difficulty 5 and 10. So you can select yourself, but how to get these into a number? Yeah, how to express difficulty of a Sudoku as a simple number, because it's basically it's an arrangement of digits in a 9 times 9 square. So that means there's a way of calculation, computer processing, to derive the difficulty. So, and in fact, this is maybe a job that cannot be solved if you look a bit more deeply into, but for example, even if would be fine to compare to Sudokus, which might be much more better accessible. We also have a completely different field, social influence on the networking. There's of course a lot of networking simulation studies going on these days. And there's also a question how the network is structured and also how, for example, news are spreading, influence spreading. So we have these new models like scale-free networking, giving us a question, how is influence taking place in networks by means of network simulation, and the model of a kind of opinion transition. That means some so to say node user in this network is changing opinion, being influenced by what? That we have some kind of opinion leader in a network. So, and how, of course, they can only influence if they are somehow connected to other users. So such kind of simulations we're working on. Another topic, as you can see, it's quite jumpy. It goes into the extension of the human sense. For example, we have new sensors like a thermal imaging. So this is the far infrared information, so a heat camera, which has a lot of useful applications. Gives you also a different picture of the world and new information sources for evaluating. What you see in the left example is there was a dog sitting on that sofa, but maybe when the owner came in, so the dog jumped away because the owner doesn't like it. But you see there's still a heat trace. And this is about persisting about 1 minute. You can still see that someone was sitting on that place and warming it up, so to say. And these days, the consumer models, which are really not expensive anymore, it goes down to $100 extension of your mobile, sensitive enough to show that. And it can be quite useful if you go into, in Japan, we have these convenience stores and they're putting cold drinks in the summer. But of course, the people take out and buy drinks, and the shop staff has to replace the drinks, but the next one cannot see if it was just replaced or it was already in long time. So the thermal imaging can give you a nice picture that you see this is still warm. These bottles have just been replaced and these bottles are there for a longer time. But visually they look same. No? So this is one, of course, practical application. There's a biometrics related to the heat trace of the rain pattern, and also say that the quality of products. So maybe Indonesia don't have a cold winter, but we have it in Germany. As you can see, compared to coats, you can see this is a quite good thermal insulation compared to this model, which has a kind of more cheaper production, so it's losing heat. You can see directly such things. So this is another topic, so the extension of the human sense by different imaging technologies, and also brings the need, of course, to bring such images into a form that can be understood by humans. So as you like here, we are using pseudo-coloring. So we had an investigation about most suitable way of colorizing such images. Yeah, here's a classical security task, how much the colorizing can influence perception of things. Yeah, you see, this is supposed to be a gun hidden in a suitcase, and you can see how differently it can appear for the inspecting stuff. For example, gate control at the airport. So that kind of study we had done. Of course, a bit more entertaining things that we can also use project heat information onto three-dimensional objects to get a better idea about distribution of heat. So another topic we're considering, sensing, combining pattern recognition and security. Most popular topic is biometrics. But maybe in this 2020, it's not so interesting anymore to develop basic biometric technologies like a fingerprint sensor, because this has been done and it's working perfectly. And there are a lot of consumer products, but I think the integration of biometric system into the real life is getting more important also the kind of advance of parallel technologies. So I just tell you here 2 stories, maybe a few years ago, but anyway, this is not a solved problem these days. What you can see here, the right one is nice. This is the speech in the public of a German Minister for Defense, so Ms. Dr. von der Leyen at this time was a defense minister, and she gave a speech, and in the speech, of course, people like to use their hand, so to say, while speaking, and that was capturing the fingerprint image from that camera picture was enough to make a fake fingerprint from just taking the video. So it means the camera technology is also advancing, and we must find about a way, for example, trace origination of biometric information and putting other means of security apart from just the processing. So there must be also some kind of integration aspect for secure solutions. A related topic we are investigating also in the sense of biometrics is children safety, which getting more and more early active in international and communication these days, and of course getting exposed to more and more risk, for especially for having social networks where adults pretend to be children, an activity which is called cyber grooming, to distinguish them, for example, from the biometric information. This was a study on an adult pretend the writing of a children. So the children cannot still learning writing, handwriting, and the adult knows that. So they try to make a bit more childish looking handwriting with us. But as you can see that by means of pattern recognition, it's easy to distinguish. It's like the green and the blue case. That you can protect these that way. Yeah, just that way. Of course, also related, not just to cyber grooming, also to expose children to advertisement in general, which is a major threat, especially in YouTube these days. Yeah. Okay. So we have another security technique, for example, 3D data handling, giving us also new aspects. Of course, the 3D is also a human thing. We like to have things in 3D, and we're getting more and more access also to make a real-world copy of a virtual model by just using 3D printer. But of course, the state of the art these days is, of course, it's advancing. You can see, but it's still far from a professional manufactured product. As you can see, the example, in most cases you have only one color, for example. But we can imagine we will reach a level soon where you can make a perfect copy of a Lego Duplo, maybe just from that image by some photogrammetry evaluation and enough quality and color variation. So I think we'll go ahead. So that means we need to also think about security techniques of a 3D model in a practical use, given the topic of 3D data watermarking. Of course, 3D data is also volume data, not just 3D models, like here in medicine used for directing surgery robots, for example, based on 3D volumetric data, sorry, of these images. And of course, someone trying to modify can have a big risk for the patients undergoing surgery if someone manipulating such information about the position of certain parts of anatomy.
Sorry, Prof. Mario.
Yeah.
Your time is 5 minutes more.
Yes, okay. So we have another sources because developing new intelligent algorithms based on bio-inspired compensation. So I know you have heard about these recent topics and corresponding domains. Yeah, not give too much. And last point also I want to mention is that we can develop new services based on such concepts and paradigms in research, which is, for example, decision science, which is a very human-based thing, which in one sense needs to combine decision making with also some kind of hardcore mathematics concept like the combinatorial design theory, which is a quite a challenging and complicated theory. But nevertheless gives a lot of hard computed solutions for human problems, which can be give the base for related services. Okay. At kind of this service, we, for example, started documentation service in the smart manufacturing, relating to the sets of cacao supply chain traceability, just to mention. Okay, last point, shortly mentioned. So we have these research topics, but it's also an active discipline giving rise to a lot of new products, which you might be already familiar with. Of course, smart assistants being at first like Alexa, and we have a high sensor integration, Internet of Things, which you can already put in your home. And another topic of smart home integration. Yeah, and ongoing work of integrated sentiment analysis, for example, emotion detection and the Kinect sensors. And we have a new sensors, as I told you, FLIR thermography solutions, or just maybe a bit untypical, which I like to show you at the end. I think like a sound camera. So what's a sound camera? So this is actually a Kickstarter promotion video of a product, which was also successfully funded, but so it's not really a consumer product with a price of a few $1,000s, but nevertheless, give you an idea about the opportunities of this discipline. So I show you a small video and then we can stop, okay? I hope you can hear the sound from the video. It's okay?
Yeah, okay.
So, because it's a sound camera, you need to hear.
This is the sound cam. We use it to make sound visible. The system is simple, lightweight, portable, and robust. There are 64 microphones here that record acoustical data. The sound cam then evaluates the data. It analyzes how long the different sounds have traveled, then calculates the exact positions of their sources and displays the information visually. It's kind of like GPS. There's a touchscreen on the back that makes the system easy to operate. We could use various different filters. For example, a frequency filter that hones in on whichever specific sound source we are interested in and displays it specifically. The possibilities are virtually unlimited, from household appliances to electronic devices to street traffic or building noise. The potential uses are multifaceted and basically endless. This system makes sounds and noise concretely visible, so we can understand not only why an object is loud, we can also see exactly where the sound is coming from. Then we can take conclusive measures to improve the situation.
Maybe I will stop here. It's a YouTube video, so it's a promotion video for this Kickstarter project, and not, of course, our development, but I thought it shows you nicely that you can have a lot of new ideas, and that research I was presenting before can indeed lead to completely new products and services of a complete different quality. So that might be the end of my talk. So as I told you before, human-centered computing has to be seen as a highly inter- and transdisciplinary research discipline, which is integrating solutions from image processing, from security research, networking, psychology, and among many others. While we don't have any core technology yet, and the human touch of things also is related to a number of unsolved problems. I would just simply say unsolved problems, while we have already first ideas or approximations. But even then, already at this stage, we have a plethora of new application and topics for research and engineering solution. And as we have seen, already emerges into new products and serving, which are paving their way in our daily life. So that will conclude my presentation, and thank you for your attention. Okay.
Mario, good presentation. for this webinar, and I hope it can make value our all participants here. And before I continue to the second panelist, we send back information to all participants this webinar. If you have any question to be prepared to the panel, the Q&A from YouTube live, and I'm seeing here much question to panelists, especially for Mr. Mario for the first maybe, and other questions. And all right, we continue with the second panelist.
There's a question on the.
Yeah.
What is it on the Q&A?
Yeah. Okay. We continue to the second panelist, Bapak Heri Sudarmaji, selaku Kepala Pusat Pengembangan SDM Perhubungan Udara. Kepada Bapak Heri Sudarmaji, waktu kami persilakan.
Terima kasih moderator Bapak Andung Luwiono. Yang terhormat Bapak Insinyur Sugiharjo MSI, Kepala BPSDM Perhubungan. Yang saya hormati Bapak Beni Firman selaku penyelenggara sekaligus Direktur Politeknik Penerbangan Jayapura. The Honorable Mr. Mario Koppen from Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. Yang saya hormati Bapak Dr. Eng Armin Lawi, SSI Eng, Department of Mathematics University of Hasanuddin. Yang saya hormati Bapak Sahri Rashid sebagai penyelenggara pada acara webinar pada pagi hari ini. Oke. Kami dari Pusbang Udara akan menyampaikan sesuai topik yang diberikan oleh penyelenggara, yaitu melalui kolaborasi dan kerjasama berbasis teknologi informasi dan komunikasi di era adaptasi tatanan baru terkait dengan COVID-19. Next slide. Outline yang pertama adalah terkait dengan latar belakang, yang kedua adalah penguatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi, tentunya dalam hal ini adalah terkait dengan domain kami di bidang pendidikan dan pelatihan, khususnya di bidang penerbangan. Yang ketiga adalah implementasi dan kolaborasi serta kerjasama terkait dengan outline atau judul yang diberikan. Yang pertama, next slide. Next. Kebijakan di dalam era new normal di perguruan tinggi, khususnya di lingkungan Pusat Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Perhubungan. Yang pertama adalah tetap terlaksananya kembali aktivitas akademik dan non-akademik secara normal dengan menambah standar kesehatan dan kebersihan yang sebelumnya tidak ada. Yang kedua adalah upaya menjamin pelayanan akademik dan non-akademik kepada taruna dan taruni kita secara langsung atau menggunakan media daring dengan penuh kehati-hatian dan kewaspadaan. Yang ketiga adalah upaya menjamin agar kampus tetap bisa menjalankan fungsinya sesuai dengan visi dan misi dalam menjalankan Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi. Next slide. Terkait dengan regulasi yang berkaitan dengan COVID-19, tentunya sudah ada regulasinya. Yang pertama adalah adanya keputusan Presiden nomor 11 tahun 2020 tentang penetapan kedaruratan kesehatan masyarakat coronavirus disease 19. Yang kedua adalah adanya surat edaran Menteri Perhubungan nomor S4 tahun 2020 tentang tindak lanjut pencegahan penyebaran coronavirus 19 di lingkungan Kementerian Perhubungan dan protokol pencegahan penyebaran COVID-19 di institusi pendidikan. Selanjutnya juga ada regulasi terkait dengan pembatasan sosial berskala besar, di antaranya adalah Peraturan Pemerintah Nomor 21 Tahun 2020 tentang pembatasan sosial berskala besar dalam rangka percepatan penanganan COVID-19, serta juga ada Peraturan Menteri Perhubungan Nomor P41 Tahun 2020 tentang perubahan atas Peraturan Menteri Perhubungan Nomor 18 Tahun 2020 tentang pengendalian transportasi dalam rangka penyebaran virus corona. Demikian juga terkait dengan adaptasi kebiasaan baru, ini telah ada surat edaran Menteri Perhubungan Nomor SE 13 Tahun 2020 tentang operasional transportasi udara dalam masa kegiatan masyarakat produktif dan aman dari COVID-19. Next slide. Pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi pada masa pandemi COVID-19 tentunya mempunyai dampak terhadap beberapa hal. Yang pertama adalah terkait dengan penggunaan medsos. Dengan efek COVID-19 ini juga terjadi peningkatan dalam penggunaan media sosial. Demikian juga terjadinya peningkatan penyebaran atau berita-berita atau informasi tentang COVID-19. Terkait dengan work from home, ini juga sudah kita lakukan di Pusbang Udara dan UPT-nya, khususnya di bidang penerbangan, yaitu kita melakukan meeting secara online, kemudian kolaborasi dan kerjasama secara virtual, baik dengan instansi-instansi pemerintah maupun stakeholder yang lainnya termasuk dunia industri. Hal yang lain adalah kita juga melakukan pembelajaran secara daring dari rumah atau learning from home. Untuk itu kita juga menggunakan pembelajaran jarak jauh dan berkolaborasi dan kerjasama secara virtual dalam forum-forum baik di dalam internal kami maupun dengan pihak-pihak stakeholder yang berada di eksternal. Demikian juga terkait COVID-19, tentunya untuk shopping online ini akan meningkat secara tajam. Data yang kami dapatkan adalah yang tertinggi adalah pembelian atau belanja hand sanitizer ini mencapai 5.585% dari kondisi normalnya. Demikian juga untuk belanja online non produk kesehatan, khususnya adalah webcam, ini mencapai peningkatan yang cukup drastis, yaitu 1.572% dari kondisi yang normal. Next slide. Pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi di masa pandemi COVID, ini terkait dengan penggunaan medsos juga cukup meningkat tajam, khususnya adalah penggunaan 10 media sosial aktif sampai dengan akhir bulan April 2020, yaitu Facebook menduduki peringkat yang tertinggi, kemudian YouTube, dan lain sebagainya, dan yang terakhir adalah peralatan Sinoy. Hal yang lain adalah terkait dengan pemanfaatan IT juga ada sisi-sisi negatifnya, yaitu terjadinya penyebaran berita hoax yang terkait dengan virus Corona 19 ini, itu adalah juga cukup signifikan dari total informasi yang kami dapatkan dari Kemeninfo bahwa terdapat 1.231 informasi atau sebaran hoax terkait dengan COVID-19. Yang lain adalah terkait dengan pemanfaatan TIK di masa pandemi COVID, kita juga melakukan pembelajaran secara daring di sekolah-sekolah kita, di UPT, Pusat Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Perhubungan Udara. Hal yang lain juga terjadinya peningkatan penggunaan platform sistem belajar online yang sangat populer adalah menggunakan media WhatsApp, kemudian ada rumah belajar, kemudian juga ada Google Education dan lain sebagainya, yang telah digunakan dalam pembelajaran secara daring. Manfaat TIK yang lain di pasca pandemi COVID adalah baru-baru saja juga telah kita lakukan di Badan Pengembangan Sumber Daya Manusia Perhubungan telah melakukan general lecture yang dilakukan oleh Duta Besar UK beberapa waktu yang lalu. Juga ini juga ada kegiatan lain, misalkan pertemuan G20 di tengah wabah virus corona. Ada beberapa contoh pemanfaatan TIK. Hal yang lain adalah juga terkait dengan shopping online, mungkin tadi yang sudah kami sebutkan, bahwa peringkat tertinggi adalah pembelian pembersih tangan atau hand sanitizer, ini mencapai peringkat yang tinggi. Kemudian di luar produk kesehatan, itu adalah pembelian peralatan webcam, itu yang peringkat 1, dan peringkat kedua adalah ternyata banyak orang yang membeli sepeda untuk menjaga kesehatannya di masa pandemi COVID ini. Kemudian, next slide. Penguatan TIK ini adalah yang pertama, kita sadari bersama dengan munculnya keberadaan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi menyadarkan kita semua bahwa ini sangat penting, sangat bermanfaat untuk bidang pendidikan. Mau tidak mau, suka tidak suka, kita harus mengembangkan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi ke depannya. Ini dengan adanya COVID, by accident, kita harus merubah terkait dengan pola-pola dan teknik kita dalam menyelenggarakan pendidikan dan pelatihan. Dengan adanya TIK juga, ini perlu kita terapkan atau mulai kita jadikan sebagai objek yang harus dikuasai atau harus kita pelajari semuanya sebagai learning to use ICT. Kemudian hal yang lain adalah ITC atau TIK sebagai integrating yang akan memadukan sebagai media pembelajaran. Ini adalah lebih dalam lagi, bukan hanya sebatas IT harus kita pelajari, tetapi merupakan media pembelajaran yang harus kita lakukan secara terus-menerus agar kita bisa melakukan pembelajaran secara efektif, efisien, dan ekonomis. Hal yang lain adalah TIK merupakan atau bisa merubah, menjadikan katalis pembaharuan sebuah pembelajaran dan khususnya pendidikan dan pelatihan di dunia penerbangan. Penguatan kompetensi untuk teknologi informasi dan komunikasi ini tentunya terus kita lakukan. Bahkan dari UNESCO memberikan beberapa parameter terkait dengan penguatan di bidang teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Bukan hanya sebagai teknologi literasi, namun juga sebagai knowledge deepening, serta juga sebagai knowledge creation dalam implementasi dari teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Next slide. Salah satu contoh inovasi di era disruption, khususnya di era COVID-19 ini adalah adanya forum atau aplikasi ruang guru. Ini yang sangat bermanfaat sekali. Di antaranya adalah mampu memanfaatkan inovasi, teknologi, komunikasi, informasi dalam menciptakan pasar baru, kemudian juga meningkatkan daya saing dalam bidang pendidikan dan pelatihan khususnya, serta mampu menggabungkan inovasi terdahulu, yaitu kita belajar secara klasikal, namun sekarang kita sudah bisa melakukan atau berbasis aplikasi digital. Next slide. Kolaborasi ilmiah juga perlu kita lakukan sebagai lembaga pendidikan tinggi, khususnya di bidang penerbangan. Kita harus dapat atau melakukan kerjasama dalam berbagai cara dan tingkatan. Interaksi antara perguruan tinggi dapat diklasifikasikan dalam beberapa cara diantaranya adalah perlunya kita berkolaborasi pengajaran dan pembelajaran. Ini terus kita tingkatkan dalam rangka mencapai efektivitas dan efisiensi di dalam melakukan pendidikan dan pelatihan. Kita juga perlu melakukan kolaborasi di bidang penelitian dan pengembangan sebagai implementasi dari pelaksanaan Tridharma perguruan tinggi. Hal yang lain adalah juga perlunya kolaborasi dalam pengembangan bisnis. Kita sebagai unit kerja Badan Layanan Umum tentunya ini juga harus memanfaatkan fasilitas teknologi informasi dan komunikasi dalam melaksanakan kegiatan-kegiatan di dalam BLU kita. Hal yang lain adalah perlunya juga kolaborasi pengembangan terkait dengan masyarakat. Kalau kita perlu sosialisasi, tidak perlu tatap muka, tetapi kita bisa menggunakan media daring. Dan demikian juga dengan dunia industri, kita melakukan OJT, misalkan pemantauan OJT bisa menggunakan media daring, sehingga ini akan bisa menghemat biaya pendidikan dan pelatihan. Demikian juga untuk pengembangan secara regional dan global, kita juga perlu lakukan menggunakan teknologi TIK dimaksud. Beberapa hal yang telah kita lakukan atau yang telah dimiliki di Pusbang Udara dan UPT-nya dalam rangka kerjasama, dan ini sudah kita lakukan beberapa pelatihan-pelatihan yang menggunakan media daring, menggunakan sistem online. Tarunanya atau muridnya berasal di seluruh wilayah Indonesia, dan instrukturnya atau dosennya berada di Montreal, berada di Inggris, berada di Brasil, dan lain sebagainya. Saat ini sedang berlangsung pendidikan dimaksud. Hal yang lain yang perlu kita kembangkan untuk Indonesia, khususnya di bidang penerbangan, kita juga sedang dalam progres untuk membentuk ASTC, Aviation Security Training Center, di PPI Curug, dan insya Allah tahun ini akan bisa terselenggara. Tentunya nanti dalam pelaksanaan pendidikan dan pelatihan, kita berharap dari masyarakat, bukan hanya di dalam negeri, orang-orang asing pun akan belajar aviation security di Indonesia. Sudah ada beberapa negara yang menanyakan tentang perkembangan ASTC yang telah kita bikin, khususnya adalah Thailand beberapa waktu yang lalu meminta informasi terkait dengan pengembangan apa yang telah kita lakukan selama ini. Kemudian juga dengan EASA kita sedang proses, nanti akan kita bentuk atau kita akan mendapatkan approval EASA, khususnya adalah 147 untuk teknisi pesawat udara. Hal yang lain yang kita lakukan terkait dengan kerjasama, tadi sudah kami sampaikan, baik ini secara internal di lingkungan Kementerian Perhubungan maupun dengan stakeholder yang lain dalam rangka penguatan kelembagaan maupun penguatan dalam pelaksanaan pendidikan dan pelatihan serta untuk penerapan lulusan. Kita telah bekerja sama dengan berbagai pihak, baik di internal maupun secara eksternal. Next slide. Ada beberapa hal yang kita implementasikan terkait dengan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Di antaranya adalah ada UPT kita di Politeknik Penerbangan Surabaya misalkan, menggunakan atau melakukan konsultasi kesehatan bagi para taruna dan taruni melalui online. Sehingga tidak berbondong-bondong datang ke Politeknik yang nanti akan berpengaruh khususnya terkait dengan protokol kesehatan. Mereka cukup membuka HP mereka, kemudian melakukan konsultasi terhadap para dokter, sehingga nanti datang ke poliklinik atau ke rumah sakit, tinggal menjalani pengobatan atau mendapatkan resep sebagai tindak lanjut dari apa yang dia keluhkan. Kemudian yang lain adalah yang tadi sudah kami sampaikan, saat ini sedang berlangsung untuk training dari IKO, murid-muridnya dari berbagai penjuru di Indonesia, bahkan mungkin juga ada yang di luar negeri, khususnya adalah training post training evaluation dan safety management system dengan para instruktur yang berada di Montreal, berada di Inggris, dan di beberapa negara, diantaranya adalah dari Brasil. Kemudian terakhir yang perlu kita simpulkan dari apa yang telah kami sampaikan di depan bahwa yang pertama, pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi dalam penyelenggaraan diklat sebagai implementasi dari Tridharma perguruan tinggi akan menjadi lebih efektif, lebih efisien, dan semakin ekonomis. Yang kedua adalah kita selalu perlu meningkatkan kualitas sumber daya manusia, khususnya tenaga pendidik dan tenaga kependidikan di bidang teknologi informasi dan komunikasi dalam era adaptasi tatanan baru. Sekarang juga sedang berlangsung atau baru selesai kami melakukan workshop tentang pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi bagi para dosen dalam rangka melaksanakan pendidikan dan pelatihan melalui media daring. Yang ketiga adalah perlunya kita mematuhi protokol kesehatan dalam menyelenggarakan diklat dengan memanfaatkan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Tadi di slide yang di depan sudah kami sampaikan ada beberapa hal penggunaan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi di kampus-kampus di lingkungan pusat pengembangan sumber daya manusia perhubungan udara. Yang terakhir adalah perlunya kolaborasi dan kerjasama dalam menciptakan teknik dan metode pembelajaran dari klasikal menjadi pembelajaran jarak jauh, menggunakan media online, dan blended learning tentunya juga masih tetap kita perlukan, karena tidak semua materi, tidak semua bahan ajar kita bisa lakukan secara online. Contoh yang paling sederhana adalah kita mempunyai sekolah pilot, misalkan di PPI Duruk, tidak mungkin untuk praktek terbang kita menggunakan PJJ atau online atau menggunakan simulator. Pasti kita harus terbang secara real. Ini adalah contoh-contoh yang harus kita kembangkan di dalam pendidikan dan pelatihan dunia penerbangan. Mungkin itu yang bisa kita sampaikan pada kesempatan pagi hari ini. Saya ucapkan terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat pagi.
Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Santi 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 Om.
Terima kasih Bapak Heri Sudarmaji. Sangat menarik apa yang disampaikan oleh Bapak. Mudah-mudahan menjadi penambah wawasan untuk para peserta webinar kita pada pagi hari ini terkait dengan keberadaan pusat pengembangan SDM perhubungan udara beserta sekolah-sekolah yang ada di bawahnya. Dan kita sudah melakukan apa yang menjadi trending saat ini untuk teknologi informasi dan komunikasi masa pandemik COVID-19 yang saat ini sedang berlangsung. Okay, thank you Mr. Heri Sudarmaji for your presentation. We hope all participants can follow about your presentation. And next presentation is from Mr. Armin Lawi. He's a lecturer in Hasanuddin University, Makassar. And before they share the presentation, I will to read the curriculum CV, curriculum vitae from Mr. Armin Lawi. Bapak Dr. Eng Armin Lawi, SSCM, he was born in Parepare. It's like Mr. B.J. Habibie, April 23rd, 1972. He is Bachelor of Science from Hasanuddin University, Makassar, Master of Engineering in Kyushu University, Japan, Doctor of Engineering in Kyushu University, Japan, and now he is Head of Computer Science, Mathematics Department of Hasanuddin University, and Chairman of the Association of Informatics College and Computer Regional 9, Sulawesi. Kepada Bapak Armin Lawi, kami persilakan.
Thank you. Makasih banyak Pak Andung Liwi Hono, moderator kita hari ini. Berikut saya share presentasi saya Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Morning everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity for this international webinar given to us to be a presenter in accordance with your webinar topics regarding initiating ICT-based collaboration and partnership in the new normal adaptation era. And with this moment, I would like to thank you very much, the Honorable, the Head of Human Resources Development Agency on Transportation, Ministry of Transportation of Indonesia, Bapak Insinyur Sugiharjo MSc, Honorable, the Head of Human Resources Development Center on Civil Aviation, which have just presented their material, his material, Bapak Insinyur Heri Sudarmaji, PEA, QIA, Honorable Bapak Benny Suherman, SSIT, SMSC, Director of Jayapura Fashion Polytechnic, Honorable Head of Academic and Cadet Administration Division, Bapak Sahri Rashid, SSCMM, my best friend. Thank you very much for inviting us. And I also would like to give my thank you very much for Professor Mario Kopen, my best friend in Graduate School of Graphic Informatics, Kyushu Institute of Technology, Japan, who has accepted our invitation to be a keynote speaker in this webinar. And also in this opportunity, I would like to thank you also for accepting my students, 3 students in this coming semester to be a master's degree student in your laboratory. Jadi Bapak-Bapak Ibu sekalian, Prof. Mario pada semester Oktober 2020 ini memberi kesempatan mahasiswa lulusan kami dari ilmu komputer itu untuk lanjut S2 di laboratoriumnya dengan menggunakan beasiswa JASO dari pemerintah Jepang. We have a technical talk with Professor Mario regarding many topics in IT-based research or information technology research. And in this opportunity, as a request from the committee, they would like to give. They asked me to give a presentation regarding how to build a collaborative partnership in IT research. Step in a fundamental in some concepts. So maybe my presentation not technical in the technical aspects, but in the qualitative aspect, in the concept of how to build collaborative partnership in IT research and or in generally as well. Firstly, this is very interesting webinar because we already know that province of Papua, as the easternmost province of Indonesia, has a very important role in maintaining stability of Indonesia's prosperity, especially about the Indonesian air transportation for Indonesian civilian. And the Jayapura Aviation Polytechnics, as long as I know, is the youngest aviation polytechnic in Indonesia, and which act as the main pillar of the civil aviation industry for Eastern Indonesia. And also we usually also hear that Papua is always said to be lagging behind in Indonesian in the education sector. But however, Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic is surprisingly able to conduct this international webinar with a very interesting and challenging topic related to IT collaborative partnership in IT-based with the whether internationally or national. This is very good because the institution, the Jayapura Fashion Polytechnic, is able to take the advantage of the blessing in disguise. This is in this COVID-19 pandemic disaster, and also the advantage of the meaning of the 4.0 industrial revolution. The main problem commonly faced in Indonesia when we are developing collaborative research partnership with the internationally is often that the proposed plans often not fully supported by the decision makers. This is happened because there are two main factors. The first is because the substance of the partnership built by the researchers do not achieve the main mission or the main problems in their institutions. And the second reason is because decision makers do not fully understand the impact of outcomes of the partnership which we going to build. However, in this webinar, the webinar is held by Jayapura Fashion Polytechnic. Polytechnic is fully supported by the Human Resource Development Agency of the Indonesian Ministry of Transportation, and very especially with the Human Resource Development Center on Civil Aviation. So the decision maker also deliver the mission of the partnership, and it will be realizing the mission problems with the IT-based research. So the main problem can be achieved by the collaborative partnership internationally. Some key concepts in terms of IT research. So as we know that information technology is the study, design, development, implementation, support, or management of computer-based information system, in particular software application and computer hardware. The IT is in IT, computer and internet is really make a very important role in implementing the IT technology. We have heard lastly Professor Mario about some IT research which are conducted in his level, which is include also about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cloud computing, blockchain, data science, information system, and so on. And based on based on his presentation, you can see that many aviation application in aviation problem can also be adopted using their methods and also his research, and also as well as his product also, especially for the thermal camera and also sound camera is very interesting because we can in aviation industry, especially in the airport, sound camera can be used to classifying which sound belongs to the one airplane or another, and any other implementation. So what is partnership? Partnership is a cooperative strategy between two or more organizations or individuals, and it favors cooperation above substitution, subordination, or competition. So it favors cooperation regardless the substitution, subordination, and competition. So what the partnership IT-based research itself, as it is establishing a cooperation strategy to support the relationship between institutions, and also it's based on principle of equality and shared responsibility, and it recognizes diversity. This is main principle that it recognizes diversity. It is also governed by comprehensive and inclusive perspective geared towards the strengthening governance in global or local IT research. It also promotes synergetic actions and initiatives which favor autonomy, expansion of networks, and increase the capacity and potential strengthen governance in IT research. There are many benefits of partners who can be achieved. Firstly, I would like to give some knowledge and viewpoint about the benefits that partnership enables the sharing of knowledge and expertise, this redistribution of such powerful resource knowledge enables its application to local problems. And regional and global problems require research partnership in order to successfully use a broader view and vision of the local problem and its relation to the bigger relation to the bigger global issues as well. The benefit also can be directed to the capacity and resources building. For example, collaboration provides capacity building for the local scientific community and strengthens the scientific system as a whole. And also research linkages with northern partners. Northern partners mean Japan partners. Enable to southern partners, it means Indonesian partners, to access bigger facilities, for example, labs, library to use in analytic work. And also partnership for research creates a bigger pool of funds. Both southern and northern partners are able to apply for a large selection of grants through partnership. So we can manage our grant in both sides, and then we can pull it as a pool of funds. So we have a lot of funds rather than if we solely doing by alone. Collaboration through research builds trusting relationships, which may have a spillover effects on tension and conflict in partnering countries. Research partnership may also be used to build a stronger political and regional ties between countries. Linkages through research provide a venue for local researchers who have integrated to re-engage in research for their countries of origin. And this is potentially reconnects those who have joined the brain drain, especially for Indonesians who working in Japan. There are some impacts of partnership can be given here. First is about policy influence. When partnership occurs in proximity to the policy environment, the interaction between researchers and policymakers as a result of the research partnership may begin to inform and influence policy development. So the policy development can be result from the partnership collaboration. Research and capacity building. Through partnership, research teams support the strengthening of the research institution, researchers, and research management system in all the partnering parties. And also, the impact is going to the personal and professional impact itself. So the research partnership have direct impacts on the professional and personal lives of researchers as they build relationship with their colleagues, receive mentorship and support from colleagues, and are challenged to learn and respect to the varying context in which partners work. This is some key issues or some problems and challenges which we usually encounter when we making a collaborative partnership with the developed countries such as Japan. So whereas developed countries researchers tends to focus on the academic aspect of research, we in Indonesia often more concerned about the societal relevance of the research being undertaken. So much more societal relevance. For example, in the new normal adaptation era, we just focus on societal, how to the technology can be adopted, the IT technology can be adopted to proceed the e-learning process and so on. Access to the literature, technology, and software are readily available and often taken for granted by researchers in Japan, in a developed countries such as Japan, whereas in Indonesia, counterparts often have limited or out of date resources. And another problem is the enabling environment of often facilities research work in Japan does not exist as readily in Indonesia. This is may include circumstances such as having time available to conduct internationally acceptable research and write the corresponding papers. Indonesian researchers often do not have protected time for research and demands in high-tech experiment and teaching work are many. So just like what I doing in Indonesia, there's so many, I have many teaching duties rather than to do conducting a research. Because we have so many population and we should be well educated to them. Another key issues and challenges is a trustworthy or trust. Building trust between partners can be difficult because one, some historically happened that developing country researchers such as Japanese researchers are often had a little tangible impact in the countries where the research was undertaken, whether at the policy or community level. This mutual beneficiary research has created skepticism in some Indonesian researchers. Another reason is an unhealthy relationship still exists, in which researchers and their projects in Indonesia are highly reliant and dependent on those in their partners for funding resources approvals. This undermines true feelings of the leadership and equality in our society, in Indonesian side. And also another problem is the few developed country donors are willing to provide substantial research budgets without reservation to Indonesian researchers. This unwillingness may be interpreted as mistrust of the Indonesian partners' ability and accountability. So this three is usually as the main problem regarding the trust which between partners in Indonesia. Another issue is about the funding, and it is difficult for establishing partnership in Indonesia because some historically have happened. For example, the coordination of funding in distribution in Indonesia has been poor, resulting in duplication in some areas and limited funding in others. This has also meant that poor distribution between institutions and researchers and thus creating inequality. And we usually feel this, but it is very hard to remedy this problem in Indonesia. It's also over-reliance on donor funding can result in lack of prioritized research in Indonesia. It also results in national research agendas that are strongly influenced by the donor nation and organizations. So some of our research policies usually rely on the influence by the donor of nation or organizations. It is very difficult to coordinate the process of submitting funding proposals to developed countries donors while building collaborative partnerships with Indonesian partners. Often, the funders' agenda comes first and the partnership second. So usually, we use usually we have given some kind of schedule from the funders, and then after being done, the partnership is calculated maybe when they need, but if sometimes when they don't need us as a partner, so it's not happen also. Sometimes like that. So how to building principles for partnership. Research partnership are central or global development. A number of organizations in recent years have begun to reflect on the experience of partnership building for research and have proposed many kind of principles to attempt to improve the practice of partnership globally. But the following Swiss principle of partnership can be applied and used in reflection on partnership experiences. The following is the Swiss principle for partnership developed by the Swiss Commission for Research Partnership with the Developed Countries, EFPE. These 11 principles of research partnership were published in 1998. The 11 principles are: first, decide to the objective together. So we should firstly build up or decide what the objective of our partnership. And the second is to build up mutual trust. And the third is share information, develop networks among us. The fourth, share responsibility. The fifth, create transparency. The sixth, monitor and evaluate the collaboration. And seventh, disseminate the results. Eighth, apply the results. Ninth, share profits equitably. 10th, increase research capacity. And the last, build on the achievements. Build on the achievements maybe can be as products or also can be scientific papers which is published in some kind of publishers. So partnership model of this of our relationship can be doing like this. So maybe Minister of Transportation in this case of Human Resource Development Agency with his educational institutions such as Jayapura Fashion Polytechnic may make us build a kind of partnership with our university, the Hassani University, and also with the Kyushu Institute of Technology. But as I explained about in the Swiss principles, so first we should decide what the objective of the partnership itself at the first, and then we go into the next principle steps can be followed this principle. Some two things that can be complete for the discussions that this webinar is still initial steps in building our partnership. So this is this is an initial. So we need further steps so that the partnership with common research objective can be implemented. And our Department of Computer Science in Hasanuddin University is very ready to build collaborative partnership with the Human Resource Development Agency and Transportation of the Ministry of Transportation and Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic nationally, as well as with the QTech internationally in a three-party connection network. So let's start and be partners in the IT collaborative research, especially in the civil aviation field. Thank you very much. I hope this presentation make as a good start for us to build a partnership, a collaborative partnership in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Armin. Very good, very interesting for your presentation. you said about the issue and challenge for me in Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic, and maybe for Mr. Heri Sudarmaji too, as a human resource development center in civil aviation. Next, in the challenge, you have a challenge to me and to our organization. We hope your presentation can make true in the next time. Those three panels have presented their presentation. It's a very interesting to add our knowledge and insight to the use of ICT in the new normal era at this time. And next session is answering question from the all participants in the Zoom meeting or in the YouTube. We opened to Mr. Mario first. It's any question from Sofian SS. He asked about how the use artificial intelligence can help or can useful for our activity. What the challenge in the future? That's first question. And second question, it is from Denov. Is asking about HCC. Maybe it could be developed for aviation security problem. For example, for checking people before boarding to airplane, regarding the use of camera on and combined it, he just get to comment from you, Mr. Mario, about develop HCC for aviation security. There's two questions for Mr. Mario. Maybe you can answer. Time for you.
Okay, I didn't get fully the first question about the role of artificial intelligence. It was quite general question.
Yes.
Can you please repeat? Can you please repeat the question?
How to use artificial intelligence can help us or can useful for our activity? What the challenge in the future?
Okay. You have noted when I'm not so much using the term artificial intelligence actually, because it's one discipline. I mean, you have also other terms, machine learning, for example. We say computation intelligence. So my work is mostly focused on the methodology behind this, which is driving different disciplines, and we call it soft computing, which is also an established term, which you will find in major publications, conferences, and so on. So artificial intelligence is just, it's composing or taking benefit of such technologies, especially neural network, which has become very popular recently. But I think that there's one limitation of just using artificial intelligence, then you don't speak about a human thing, because you say artificial intelligence. So I think I wanted to point out a bit more about the link, about integrate, the traditional computing paradigms, as much as we're using computer to write programs, to use numbers, to use measurements, sensor measurements, and so on. But the integration of the human is a bit additional add-on, which I think is in these days not fully understood. So there are still many challenges to understand the human better. It is not just done by using traditional AI or machine learning methods. So there's a deeper head. But I think pretty obvious we can have a lot of benefits with promoting that research. So this I see as a major future challenge, to come a bit away from this idea of artificial. I mean, artificial is, of course, artificial sugar or some artificial things normally we don't like. So we should see the same intelligence. It's nothing out of outside of human. If you just put a kind of mechanical devices together and compute with some kind of traditional computing, then we'll get much more far. But okay, so this is what I see as the main challenge for the future, to understand the human better and how the human is processing, handling environment information, how this can be even better integrated into technical solutions. One moment.
Okay.
For
Thank
the
you.
second question.
But the second question is maybe for HCC, human.
Yeah, okay, I remember. About the applications in aviation.
Yeah.
So of course, it's not my working field, primarily about aviation. But for example, there's also the aspect of the drone inspection. One student started monitoring, you have this problem in Indonesia, the deforestation, especially in the western part, which is causing some bushfire, or some illegal activity, forest activities, farming activities, to monitor by drones. So I mean, there are many security-related things related to the aerial monitoring of things, and it's a hard task to evaluate this information from the air. But also the suggestion is right, inspection of the security gates in the airport. Yes, this is a what is a common research field. I mean, people looking into these X-ray images of baggage, but the human understanding of such images is very poor. If you ever try to look to identify something, you can really miss things easily. And it needs a way of processing to make the relevant facts better visible for human. For example, to catch the attention of a human. So this is a human-centered computing aspect, not just the plain image processing to have or the sensor technology. It's also the way of making the information accessible for human, because at the end, human is looking into such monitor. So in fact, so there are many applications for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mario. Dan saya beralih ke Pak Heri Sudarmaji. Ada pertanyaan Bapak dari Pak Sofyan di Universitas Hasanuddin. Beliau bertanya, Pak, kendala, tantangan seperti apa yang dihadapi di dunia aviasi, terutama untuk dunia pendidikannya, selama masa pandemi COVID-19 ini. Apa langkah-langkah strategis yang dilakukan oleh Pusbang Udara terkait pada dunia pendidikannya di masa pandemi COVID-19 dan era tatanan baru? Seperti itu, Pak, pertanyaannya.
Terima kasih moderator atas kesempatan yang diberikan untuk menjawab pertanyaan dari Pak Sofyan. Ada dua pertanyaan yang disampaikan. Yang pertama adalah terkait dengan kendala dan tantangan yang dihadapi. Saya kira di semua lembaga pendidikan saat ini mengalami beberapa kendala atau tantangan yang dihadapi. Yang pertama adalah terkait dengan penyelenggaraan diklat itu sendiri. Mau tidak mau, suka tidak suka, pola penyelenggaraan diklat kita, metode kita harus berubah. Yang selama ini kita melakukan pendidikan secara klasikal, harus masuk kelas, masuk asrama, kalau di kami karena boarding school, 24 jam taruna dan taruni berada di kampus. Sekarang harus kita bagi, sebagian ada yang di kampus dan sebagian berada di rumah. Karena kapasitas asrama kami tempat sangat terbatas, untuk menjaga physical distancing atau social distancing, tentunya ini harus kita kurangi jumlah taruna yang ada di kampus. Nah, taruna yang berada di kampus yang kita utamakan adalah taruna yang harus praktek yang tidak bisa dilakukan melalui online. Harus di laboratorium, harus di simulator, bahkan mereka harus terbang. Inilah yang harus datang ke kampus untuk melakukan praktikum. Yang kedua adalah taruna yang harus berada di kampus adalah taruna yang sedang menjalankan tugas akhir untuk bimbingan. Mereka mempunyai proyek-proyek atau membuat mock-up, mereka harus berada di kampus kami menggunakan fasilitas sarana-prasarana yang ada di kampus. Itu yang pertama terkait dengan penyelenggaraan pendidikan. Yang kedua adalah kendala yang lain tentunya dari aspek IT sendiri, seperti yang topik yang kita bicarakan. Masih banyak di antara dosen-dosen kita itu yang kurang memahami tentang pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Nah, ini selalu kita update. Ini kita juga sedang melakukan kursus, melakukan workshop bagaimana mengupdate, meningkatkan keterampilan para dosen dalam penggunaan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi. Ini sedang berlangsung, kami juga kerjasama dengan universitas terbuka. Bagaimana penyelenggaraan pendidikan dengan cara pembelajaran jarak jauh. Bagaimana nanti saat memberikan ujian atau evaluasinya, agar ini standar-standar atau kualitas tetap terjaga. Ini juga yang terpenting dalam penyelenggaraan pendidikan. Yang kedua adalah kendala atau tantangan yang kita hadapi saat ini adalah bagi lulusan kami. Untuk lulusan tahun 2019 yang mestinya sudah direkrut oleh stakeholder kita di tahun 2020, ini juga mengalami kendala. Ada beberapa stakeholder kami, diantaranya adalah PT Angkasa Pura I, PT Angkasa Pura II, Garuda, dan lain sebagainya, yang rencananya bulan-bulan April, Mei, Juni sudah rekrut para alumni kami, mereka pending, mereka menunda terhadap rekrutmen pegawai untuk di instansinya masing-masing. Ini beberapa kendala yang kita hadapi dan apa langkah-langkah strategis dalam pendidikannya. Tadi dalam paparan kami sudah kami sampaikan, kami harus mempunyai metode baru, harus mempunyai pola baru, harus mempunyai teknik baru dalam menyelenggarakan pendidikan. Tentunya kita tidak bisa berdiri sendiri, kita harus berkolaborasi, kita harus bekerja sama dengan berbagai pihak, baik itu stakeholder yang berada di Kementerian Perhubungan maupun dengan stakeholder yang lain. Baik itu dalam penyelenggaraan pendidikan maupun dalam penyerapan lulusan. Dan kami saat ini sedang gencar-gencarnya melakukan pendidikan dan pelatihan yang secara internasional. Kami sudah mempunyai beberapa approach mendapatkan pengakuan dari internasional, khususnya IKO dan IATA, untuk memberikan pendidikan-pendidikan secara online dengan murid, dengan siswa, dan dengan instruktur dari negara-negara lain. Itu adalah beberapa langkah, beberapa upaya-upaya kami dalam menjaga existing ya keberadaan kampus kami agar tetap bisa berjalan meskipun ini dalam pandemi COVID-19. Mungkin itu yang bisa kami tambahkan dari apa yang disampaikan oleh Bapak Sofyan dari UNHAS. Terima kasih Bapak Moderator.
Terima kasih Pak Heri. Saya pikir jawabannya sangat komprehensif dan mudah-mudahan Pak Sofyan langsung mendengar apa yang disampaikan Bapak Heri, dan memang ini sebuah tantangan bagi kami semua di sini, termasuk di Poltek Penerbangan Jayapura, karena masih beberapa penerbangan masih sulit Pak untuk masuk ke sini terkait dengan pandemik. Ini juga sedikit menghambat kegiatan pergerakan pelajaran di kampus Poltek Bank Jayapura. Beralih ke berikutnya kepada Mr. Ahmed. To Mr. Ahmed, is any question from Marisa? He's asking about how to start partnership and collaboration between university. Dia tidak berharap langsung dari Universitas Hasanuddin atau dengan Poltek Bank Jayapura, tapi bagaimana sih memulai, how to starting collaboration and partnership between university di dalam negeri maupun di luar negeri. Itu Pak pertanyaannya.
Maaf, lupa di unmute. Ya, terima kasih banyak Bu Marisa. Jadi untuk memulai kerjasama dengan atau kemitraan dengan kerjasama penelitian dalam bidang IT, biasanya kita mengikuti aja prinsip Swiss Principles yang tadi kami paparkan. Yang pertama kita ingin mendefinisikan dulu atau kita putuskan objektif atau tujuan bersama apa yang ingin kita capai. Dan biasanya itu berkaitan dengan misi dari visi dari institusi masing-masing. Jadi misi dan visinya dalam mencapai tersebut, permasalahannya apa saja, kemudian kita tentukan bersama. Kemudian kita rancang, kita bangun saling percaya, kepercayaan masing-masing. Saling kepercayaan itu biasanya dibangun dengan cara berbagai macam. Pertama saling membangun komunikasi di antara kita. Biasanya kalau kami dengan pihak luar negeri yang negara-negara maju kan itu mencari kepercayaan dari mereka biasanya agak sulit. Biasanya kami approaching, datang mengunjungi atau datang mengontak beliau atau melalui intermediate person atau orang antara seperti misalnya teman-teman di Politeknik Penerbangan Jayapura ingin berkomunikasi dengan Prof. Mario dan ingin membicarakan hal-hal berkaitan aspek teknis IT untuk masalah aviasi industri, itu bisa menghubungi saya, nanti kami sebagai jembatan untuk beliau, karena saya dengan beliau kan sudah dekat sekali ya, dan sudah sering berkomunikasi dengan satu sama lain. Dan boleh jadi beberapa adik-adik kita, taruna-taruna yang ingin melanjutkan studi di sana, bisa kita fasilitas, kita bisa arahkan ke sana, tentu saja. Dengan tentu saja pertama kali kita harus saling memahami kemampuan masing-masing dan juga saling mempercayai ke kondisi masing-masing. Ini seperti saya sampaikan tadi bahwa setiap tahun di mahasiswa kami itu ada sekitar 10 yang lanjut ke QSU Institute Technology, itu untuk lanjut master, dan beberapa di antaranya itu lanjut doktor. Dan juga ada yang dari teman-teman dari Jayapura, dari orang staf Pemkot juga ada, Pemprov ya, kalau tidak salah Pak Edison itu sudah dulu udah pernah diterima, cuma karena belum dapat izin jadi tidak bisa lanjut. Tapi sebegitu dapat izinnya, masih mau minta lanjut itu masih diberi kesempatan. Jadi begitu pentingnya kepercayaan yang dibangun, Pak, seperti itu. Dan kita bisa lakukan itu, dan ini adalah langkah yang sangat baik sekali untuk membangun partnership di antara kita bertiga, baik secara nasional maupun secara internasional. Mungkin seperti itu saja jawaban saya dengan ringkas. Unmute, Pak.
Iya, jawabannya sangat clear, Pak. Jadi tantangan buat kami, isu yang Bapak lempar kepada kami, terutama di Politeknik Penerbangan Jayapura, dan ini sudah ditangkap. Kebetulan ada Pak Beni sebagai Direktur Politeknik Penerbangan Jayapura, juga Pak Heri sebagai Kepala Pusat Pengembangan SDM Perhubungan Udara. Saya pikir ini menjadi tantangan buat kami dan semakin menjadi hot issue yang ke depan akan kami tindak lanjuti, mudah-mudahan bisa ditindaklanjuti dalam beberapa waktu ke depan. Seperti itu, Pak. Well, karena terbatasnya waktu, the time is over, I think, because it's 2 hours more. Itu nyaris 3 jam, Pak, kita berkumpul di acara webinar ini. So kita harus segera akhiri. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar activity with this tema today has been completed. Hopefully, everything that has been said by the panelists in this can be useful for us, for all. And however, before closing, because this virtual activity, and we will giving a virtual plug to all panelists. And for the first is to Mr. Professor Mario Kuven. This is giving virtual from us, Polytechnic Prabangga Jayapura, to you.
Okay. Thank you.
And the second to Mr. Heri Sudarmaji. Thank you, Pak Heri. Terima kasih, Pak Heri.
Ya.
And the third to Pak Armin.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Armin atas kontribusinya pada kegiatan pagi hari ini sampai siang hari ini. Okay, and then I apologize if there were any mistake in carrying out this webinar. For all participants, for all panelists, thank you for joining with our activity, our event in Jayapura Aviation Polytechnic. Thank you, and we turn to the MC for further activities. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, salam sehat, bebas dari COVID-19.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Andung. Terima kasih, Pak Andung. Bapak, Ibu hadirin sekalian, perlu kami informasikan untuk partisipan yang bergabung di Zoom meeting, sebelum live meeting akan muncul tampilan seperti ini. Mohon izin. Ya. Setelah live meeting, Bapak Ibu akan diarahkan untuk mengisi form evaluasi. Silahkan klik continue yang ada pada layar. Okay, for all participants who join in Zoom meeting, if you look this screen, please click continue to process your presence and e-certificate progress. Kepada Bapak Ibu sekalian yang di YouTube channel, yang bergabung di YouTube channel, nanti akan kami bagikan linknya di YouTube komen. Terima kasih. Finally, from the depths of my heart, I do apologize if I do any mistake in presenting this event. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Once again, thank you to all speakers, Mr. Sugiharjo, Mr. Heri Sudarmaji, Mr. Mario Koppen, Mr. Armin Lawi, Mr. Benny Suherman, Mr. Syahri Rashid, Mr. Andung Wihono, and all committee, and to all audience today. Billahi fisabilillah, fastabikul khairat. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Mario, for your time.
Professor Mario. Thank you, Pak Armin Lawi. Terima kasih, Bapak Heri.
Thank you.
We wish that this is the first stage and there is further steps. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is the first step to big challenge for us here Polytechnic and Pak Heri maybe.
Okay. we hope of further steps with Professor Mario, and we hope also Prof. Mario can have a willingness to accept again our invitation in near future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you Pak Mario, Pak Armin. Terima kasih.
Pak Kampus, Pak Kepala Politeknik, Pak Direktur.